In this video, we're going to go over deploying the workflow as an API, as a deployed chat, and also taking a look into the deployed versions. So as you can see here on the canvas, we have a basic workflow with a start block and an agent block. Now, if I want to deploy this workflow and call it as an API, all I'll simply have to do is click deploy here. So upon deploying the workflow, we can see not only the version history of this specific workflow, but also a brief overview of the live workflow state, and we can take a look at the other tabs as well. So going into the API tab, here we can see how to run the workflow as a curl. So we have the curl request here. We have examples in Python, JavaScript, and TypeScript as well. Additionally, we have deploying the workflow as a chat. So let's say you wanted to take this workflow and create a basic chat interface with it. So what we can do here is we can say test chat. We can give it a name, test chat 2. And then finally, we can select the output of what blocks we want to use. So in this case, I'll select the content of the agent. We can give it access control, so we can give it public, password protected, email protected, or even SSO. So I'll just keep it public for now. And so now if we click launch chat, this is how we can deploy the workflow as a chat. So this is pretty cool because now we can simply send messages to trigger that workflow and receive some sort of content back. So if I just said hi, this agent I believe is instructed to write a poem. So here we can see the agent streams back a poem in our own deployed chat that we can send and share with whomever we would like. So going back into Sim, the final thing we can do with this workflow is deploy as a template. So we can give a name, a tagline, a description, and select any tags we would want for the template. So upon publishing the template, this will go to our team to review and then approve the template into our marketplace. Now, one thing that I wanted to also look at is the workflow versioning. So a cool thing about Sim is that we have different workflow versions that you can activate to the live state or your current state. So for example, here is what our live state of the workflow looks like. And so if I were to, for example, add a function block onto the canvas, now I have this workflow, which is slightly different, and I can go ahead and see that the button in the top right corner has prompted me to update. So if we click on the update button, we can see that, hey, the current workflow status is different from the deployed state of your workflow. So once we go ahead and update the workflow, we can see our new deployed workflow state is currently what is our live state. Now, if we want to actually roll back a version and say redeploy a previous version of the workflow, we can simply select promote to live. So now this workflow version is the live deployed state. So for example, if you're calling the workflow as an API, this version of the workflow will execute instead of the live state that we have here. Now additionally, if we wanted to actually load, if we wanted to promote our current version to live, we can do that as well. So here's version 3. So we'll go ahead and promote this one to live. And so if we actually wanted to load in to our live state an old version, so for example, version 2 has the start block and the agent block. Let's say we wanted to promote this to our current state of the workflow. What we can do is we can say load deployment. And so this will actually load in that workflow to our live state. And as you can see, that function block here was removed. Now, if we head back into update, we can see, okay, version 3 is still live, but version 2 is actually what's in our current state. So if we wanted to update the live version once again to just the start block and the agent block, we can go ahead and do so. And so now version 4 here is the start block and the agent block, which is our current state of the canvas. So this is how you can actually version workflows, which makes it super easy to iterate on the workflow and then promote them into production without disrupting the flow of changing the workflow state and needing to postpone some sort of production process. Thanks so much.